Oh, snap. It's another episode of Cup of Rad. It's Mike coming at you with...
Katie.
And we're on episode 74. What are we talking about today?
Today, it is Trolls.
World Tour.
And some Katie RADnesia.
That's right, top picks.
Today on Cup of Rad.
Hey everybody, it's Mike here. Coming to you for another week of quarantine. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, we're catching up on... We got to actually watch movies without, other things, schedules getting in the way.
No, that's true. That's true. It was definitely different. Another week. And, between everything, life and all that, because things are just a little different.
Well, we also had the holiday weekend, so that helped things. We had an extra night of no work or school, being Friday off, so that was beneficial. We kind of had 2 Friday nights, which allowed us to watch some extra movies, which is cool.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So if you would celebrate wise, happy Easter, and hopefully you had a good one with whatever you ended up doing for it. Ours was definitely a little different, so that was pretty strange to do. We were excited to be able to watch a few things, of course.
Yeah, so we pulled out old 1993 again? Cartoon movie on Disney Plus there. Yep. You showed Kiddo and me, actually, for the first full through time, I think, the Goofy movie. I don't remember watching it.
Really? Because I've watched it with Kiddo before.
Yeah.
Because I have it on DVD.
I'm pretty sure you would have watched it with him. One of the times I was probably gone. And so if I have seen it, I do not remember it.
That's funny. So this here
again,
is
it's another
Goofy movie.
RADnesia! Only for Mike!
First time for Katie. So Goofy movie is basically like a goof troop. The old series ended, and this is like the pre-teen years and teen years of Max.
It's a really poignant story to show that change of growing up between the young child and, as you had commented too, puberty starting to hit in and embarrassment for your parents and wanting to break out on your own, and then having the beginnings of a relationship desire and everything like that. And so it was interesting, something I think that it stands up time-wise because it is a story that is never going to change.
Yeah. It's that transcending of time. It's interesting because Goofy is one of those characters that has a son back in the 50s, the little redhead kid that's Max, and then the 90s he had Max as a kid, like preteen, right? And then this here is teenage, and then they even made an extremely goofy movie, which was then college years. And then Twice Upon a Christmas has Max in college.
Yeah.
So Max is like the only character in the Disney universe that has aged.
Yes.
Or is played by different actors, depending on what theory you want to go on, right?
And then he's just going to throw that one. He just casually slipped that in. Like, oh, by the way.
Well, because the one theory is that Goofy is still an actor.
Yeah.
And that the character of Max is his TV role. Or is his role that he is playing. Yeah. So then all the adventures that you see with Mickey are his actual real life. His Goof Troop life is his acting job.
Show. Okay.
Right?
So how many people have played Max before?
Right? Like how many different actors have played Max over the years, right? So
Goofy doesn't age.
No, Goofy doesn't age. No. But time is not relevant, right? When it comes to an animated world.
Yeah, you're right.
It's all... So the basic story of a Goof Troop, if you have never seen it, is that Goofy decides to go on a road trip with his son
because he's feeling disconnected from him, and it's the Max is wanting to have this first date with this girl, and Goofy has decided no, he's gonna surprise him with a month-long summer vacation and ruin Max's life in Max's opinion. And so it's the, oh my gosh, my dad is forcing me to go on a road trip, and the hilarity that ensues with him trying to gently, he had told a lie to this girl that he tried to impress, that he was going to be going to this concert in LA and going to be on stage, so he has to try to force that issue to happen. And, finding that connection and that bond.
The balance and all that. So I got to correct you because it was 95 because it was the 25th anniversary.
There we go.
That's one of the reasons why
I thought you had said 93 at one point, so there we go.
Well, I always talk so fondly of 93.
93 is just always.
Assumed
it's just like something good that Mike likes. It happened from 93 apparently.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, no. So yeah, it was the 20th anniversary this week. So that was the big.
Oh, that was why we watched it. Yes.
Of watching it too, right?
Yeah.
That was it. It wasn't so random, RADnesia. It was like, well, it's the 20th anniversary. We've got to watch this again, right? So
nice. But yeah, it was really fun. I really liked the storyline and really funny, like humor wise from both sides, both of Max laughing at him and the experiences, and then just as a parent and all the things you go through trying to balance things and like that. So
the thing I like about it too is that it seems like a very classic tale. There's not a lot of like off the wall weird humor, like sometimes or too juvenile or too young humor.
Yeah,
in reality,
well, I can still enjoy it, right?
Which is pretty wild, especially being that it almost was a direct-to-video.
Yeah.
Right? Especially direct-to-video seemed to be a little bit more dumbed down in some cases when it came to some of the Disney movies from the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
Right? So seeing that it really kind of stood out, especially with the music and all that as well, it definitely transcends that. And as I said when we were watching it, the older I get, the more I get out of it because the older my kid gets and, you start
seeing, you're like, oh God, I see what happens.
And all that, right?
You see the impending doom.
Right. And so then, when I was watching, I was like, this reminds me of a movie that easily could have been a Chevy Chase movie from the 80s.
Yeah,
they took out the singing, right?
Like a National Lampoon's Vacation.
Yeah. It definitely had that feeling like this could have been, Goofy could have been played by Chevy Chase, right? And it definitely, when I was watching it through that lens, I was like, oh, it's different. Like you definitely can see how well the movie was made and how it kind of transcends.
Well, it was smart enough, right? I like the Pauly Shore character.
Yeah, the random 90s reference.
That was so funny. Like all the cheese whiz and just
it's the Leaning Tower of Cheesa.
Yeah. Oh, it was so funny. Oh yeah, and the terrifying possum farm.
The possum farm, Lester's possum farm.
It's good stuff. And Kiddo decided that they needed to have made that at a park. I was like, dude, that would be seriously terrifying.
But like, I sat back and I started watching. I was like, this movie should have been a dark ride. Yeah. Like I tweeted about it too. Like it should have been a dark ride at Disney. They should have made it because it has the songs, it has those funny scenes, it has the creepy scenes. Like you've got the Bigfoot and you've got the big.
It would have been really awesome. Yeah.
Right. Like you think about it, they should have put that where they put the Winnie the Pooh ride. They should have made a Goofy ride.
That, and something like that would have fit in really well there because it's all about
because you could have gone through Lester's possum mouth, big
fought
teeth.
with the Bigfoot, and that would have been awesome. Can you imagine taking off on the open road field that whole? Oh, that would have been sweet. Yeah, down with Winnie the Pooh. Right. Bring on the Goofy movie.
Exactly. That's what needs to happen, Disney.
I like it.
Throw Winnie the Pooh out. Go all in. Make us, because then, the car could go down into the ravine and float. Like that would
have been cool.
Yep. And the songs are so good.
The songs are really good. Like the open road song, it was funny because I realized we have it on some of our sound CDs we used to listen to. And I'm like, oh, wait, I recognize this. And you sing it sometimes, so
yeah. I used to sing when we started on our trips to Disneyland.
It's a good song, actually. It's
so you got to talk about the fact that the corpse gets out of its coffin and dances on the top of the hearse.
Oh my goodness, that whole ending scene with all these weird characters in there, and yes, the corpse dances. Yep. There was a few times where I looked over, I'm like, seriously, did that just happen, Mike?
Yep. And so Kiddo even was like, why are there so many nuns in this movie? Yeah. And that made me thinking about, we should watch Sister Act, because for some reason in the 90s, Disney had a weird thing about nuns.
You're right. Yeah, that is true. Huh.
So, but Bill Farmer played Goofy, and we've met him before, and he was a treat to meet.
Yep.
It was really weird to hear that voice come out of that man.
Yes, it was.
Sometimes when you hear voices come out of people, you're like, whoa, weird. But speaking of that, he is going to be doing a show all about dogs on Disney+. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't seen that, it's going to be quite interesting. I think they're going to try to parallel animated and real life together or something. Oh, okay. Because he also does the voice of Pluto as well, right? So...
Yeah, that was weird hearing that come out of that man.
Right? And then, of course, Rob Paulsen is PJ. Right?
So, of course, Mike liked the movie.
Exactly, Anything
good animated has to have Rob Paulsen in it.
Pretty much. That's like the stamp of approval. The one thing I think is interesting, though, is that because it's not 100% actually like a direct sequel to a Goof Troop, it like just parallels it a bit because they never like there's never any like what happened to Pete's family. Pistol and his wife, just his daughter, just aren't in the movie.
Oh yeah,
right. Well,
he's not the greatest person, so he maybe apparently just disappeared.
I want to know how Goofy's so down on his luck, being a photographer at a
department store,
but Pete is in the same department and he's like high life. Because, like what?
Well, what's like that RV was insane. Like, what does he do on the side? Like scary, sketchy side deals.
Right. So it still shows that
he runs Christmas tree farms once a year, right? And he charges through the nose for everyone.
But it's like that idea where it's like Pete, even though he comes across like a decent human being or cat, he isn't. He's still the bad guy.
Yeah.
And he's always been the bad guy in no matter what in Disney cartoons, right? Yeah. Like they always go all the way back.
Yeah.
Right?
He's always just awful.
Yeah. So it's just a funny thing that to see. And Jim Cummings plays Pete.
Yes.
So, which is pretty funny.
It was a good movie. I liked it.
It's a goofy movie, like it's one of those ones where I think, for 90 kids especially, it was such a treat and it was so big and it was well received, but yet Disney never really did anything with it. And they started to finally. They finally realized that, wow, this was a cult classic.
Yeah. Well, like all the merch that started showing up.
Yeah, but yet they've never released it on Blu-ray.
Which is really strange. And now they don't have to because now it's on Disney+.
Yeah, but even still, it still had the DVD grain on.
You're right, it wasn't remastered. You're like, whoa, this is...
Because I was like, do you want to watch it on DVD or do you want to see if they improved it on Plus? And Kiddo was like, let's see what it looks like on Plus. I was like, it still has the grain that's on the DVD. So like, they just ported it over. Like they don't care to spruce it up or anything.
Yeah.
It's like, they know how popular it is. And they're just riding on it, and it's like they're not caring enough
because it's not going to change. They know it's popular no matter what. Why put money into it?
And so what's funny is I was talking about this is because we saw Bill Farmer in the year of the 20th anniversary.
Oh wow, it's been that long.
It's been that long, yeah. And he had talked about that the fact that they for some reason don't have an HD cut of it, or they're not trying, and he finds it really strange. But yet they did the 20th anniversary, they did the live Facebook events and all this stuff. Wow. Like they did all this stuff, but yet they still they're like, just ride on this thing. We're not gonna. So, and they barely brought any pops. I was really surprised they brought a power line. That was a Hot Topic exclusive.
Yeah, I was expecting there to be more of them.
I want a Bigfoot.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
I want him discoing.
Yes, definitely.
And I don't,
that would be really good.
But a Goofy movie is one of my like childhood like memories of like amazing.
Well, and it was funny. It was fun to see Kiddo enjoy it too. He really thought it was funny, and he found the good humor into it. Yeah, silliness. So
that was a good moment to share, especially during now the laughter is really needed.
Yes.
So we're still on the Disney train here, but and it ties into a bit of Goofy because he showed up as the Goof Troop version in DuckTales last week. But this week, we got a new DuckTales.
Another amazing, fabulous, fantastic DuckTales episode.
Yeah, it is based on James Bond.
That alone was fabulous.
And Launchpad
It was Casino Royale.
Yeah, playing the Bond character, basically.
Yeah.
But they're playing a video game, but they don't know what they're doing is real.
Well, because originally they go in and they're playing like this super intense VR game and they keep losing, and then it turns into the bad guys start taking over the game, and then it turns into a real thing. But for them, they think
still
it's
think they're
still
in the video
just
game.
A really intense James Bond video game.
Yeah, and so Steelbeak shows up from Darkwing Duck fame, and he is voiced not unfortunately by Rob Paulson, which is a little sad to me. But he is voiced by the actor that plays Jay from Big Mouth.
He sounds just like Jay.
Pretty much that's what they did. He just acts like him.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid, you're stupid. Right? And it was just hilarious to think of how foul that character is.
Right.
I
love that, by the way. I just know.
And because if you watch Big Mouth, you know how disgusting Jay is as a character.
Yeah.
It involves pillows.
Okay, we're not going to go dive into that rabbit hole.
I'm just throwing that out there.
I know. Okay.
I'll try not to make this one explicit this week.
Sure. Good luck.
Well, you co-botched my pillow talk, so... But so yeah, you have that, and then there's these lovely. They're not even Easter eggs. They're blatantly in your face because I gotta say though, because then you'll be watching for it too. But the Rescue Rangers show up.
Yes. Well, like the first thing I noticed it at first, they showed just a regular mouse. I'm like, Mike, that looks familiar.
And then they talked about using a ray that increased intelligence.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, Mike, what is happening right now?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, you see... Now, my big question is did she use a regular size sewing machine to make her tiny outfit, or did she use a tiny sewing machine that she fashioned herself to make the tiny outfit?
Yes, that's a very valid question, right? Actually.
Did you...
All of the tiny little outfits.
I love the other joke, too, that when they're trying to escape from the cell, and Dewey is like, was the whole point to build a tiny airplane and teach a mouse to fly? Why, yes, I did that.
All by myself. He's like, wow. Like, because Dewey thinks the video game needed that to be the mission to save something. Like, it was like Escape Room 101 type thing with them. And yes, I did that all by myself.
Yep. So the fun thing is Launchpad gets hit with the brain ray.
Yes.
The intelligent ray. And he becomes super intelligent and becomes all like he becomes a British spy.
Yeah, he turns into James Bond essentially.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was such a fantastic episode. Like, and then there's a whole side plot with Scrooge. It was just hilarious.
It shows his addiction.
Yes, his hardcore addiction to money and winning and gathering things and hoarding. mine. So yeah, it was like just such a good show.
Yeah.
Like this episode, I would seriously watch again, no problem.
Oh yeah, I didn't delete this one.
Yeah, I know he was kind of wavering. I'm like, don't delete.
I'm like, no, this one can't be deleted. I can't wait till it hits plus in a year. This one might need to happen again because oh my god.
I agree.
As you say again, the new DuckTales is hilarious. I know for some it takes a bit to get into because it's so much different, but you got to think that it is its own thing. It even has mentioned that there is alternate realities out there.
Yeah, it discusses it in itself. And,
so it's self-aware to its own. So like it's, and I'm wondering too, because the creators of this version have said that they snuck some things in to this season that were kiboshed by Disney because they wanted, like they tried to reboot Darkwing and then that didn't happen. So they got it put into DuckTales.
Pieces, yeah.
They tried to apparently reboot Rescue Rangers. They pitched the idea on Twitter. He talks about he wanted to create like a Kingsman style Rescue Rangers that started in the past back in like the Great Mouse Detective era.
Oh yeah.
And then would eventually develop into the Rescue Rangers that you know and love with Chip and Dale.
Cool.
Like that was his like multi-arc thing. Right. And they were told that, kids don't have that attention span, basically. Right. So this whole season seems like we're getting all those Disney afternoon ideas that they tried to pitch.
Say with the Rescue Rangers, it was so flawlessly put within this episode. Like, it was just so well done. It didn't seem forced. It seemed like it was a perfectly normal development.
Yep.
And
it was a subplot that was happening that you wish there was a show to find out why there was a subplot.
Right. And because it shows where, she came from, but not the rest of them.
Right.
And it's like, where did they all come from this? And like, oh yeah, I want more of it.
Yep. So definitely give your love to DuckTales because it's fantastic and hilarious if you're a Disney fan, especially for that Disney afternoon era.
Definitely. And then one more thing, we've been, of course, watching all sorts of
nature
documentaries on
nature.
Disney Plus. And so we finished up that Wild Russia. We decided we'd try some of the Disney nature-based ones.
Nature.
Because we went through a kick years ago when we collected all the
nature
ones. And so we picked one of the ones we hadn't watched was with the is a brand new one though. From this is brand new. I thought it was still old, but the brand new one was Elephants. And so the difference with these ones, of course, if you haven't watched any of the Disney Nature Animal ones, is they essentially are making it a story, right? They find and make a character and a show based on this one family, this one pair. Usually they tend to involve children, baby animals. So this one was one family of elephants, and one of the main focuses was one of the babies, and you got
leader of the
and
elephants.
the leader, yeah. So it's a different take on something, because then not only you were learning lots of things about them, but then again it gives it a bit more of a personality that they kind of imply for kids, right? Yeah. So you learn a lot, but I think it's great that they're finding a way to try to keep younger kids engaged with nature. Nice. And so this one follows African elephants on their migration journey, which I didn't realize that they traveled so very far. It's like 3,000 miles, 8-month round trip journey from this delta that then dries up over to water, essentially, and then back again, and just constantly cycle with the floods.
Circle of life.
Totally is. There's so many times where I wanted to be like, wow, this is so apparent. And I really enjoyed it, because there was a certain amount of drama in it, but as for myself, I knew that being a kids based feel, like, everything is going to be mostly okay. Like the babies aren't going to die, even though there's a really high chance of the lions eating them type thing. But no, they wouldn't do this to a child, of the baby dragged off by the lions.
But they would have to, because they're not supposed to interfere with the photography.
No. But then the choice of their story, right? You would think. I mean, I told Mike, I'm like, how many millions of hours of footage or elephant families did they
edit together to get to the story they wanted?
Yeah, exactly, right? But overall, you learn a lot, and you got really, it's awesome to be so close up and really see their movement for things. But it was definitely a different style than the National Geographic ones that are more, sounds funny, but fact-based for things, and more just...
Well, yeah, the National Geographic doesn't give you any side plots or names or anything like that, or try to sensationalize anything. It's just like, this is what is happening.
And you definitely see animals get eaten.
There's going to be animals fighting. They're going to be eating. Yeah. They might do other things, but this is nature.
Yeah.
And this was more like...
Oh, look at the baby elephant.
Yeah, and we love the mother, and everything's, so it was weird after watching that, and having that switch in the thing. It has beautiful cinematography.
Okay, it's gorgeous.
It's nature photography. The humor that alone. There was a few times where the elephant farted, and it was
they really had to point out that it farted,
and it was a fake fart too.
Yeah, you would never have heard it that far away from where they were standing.
Unless they had some poor guy was out there with a boom mic, waiting for an elephant to fart. I don't believe it. So I had my moments with that was kind of okay, this is a little weird.
Yeah, they had some humor in there where it was just the elephant's doing this. There was a few times where I was like, that elephant is going to run off and it deserves to die. Survival of the fittest. It's going to be like this. And they're like, that's so funny.
Yeah. And then they had this weird elephant vision.
Yeah.
It would focus in on the elephant's eyes, and it would circle into some really fast camera motions and all that. Or it had the remembrance scene. There was when an elephant died, and then it was remember. And it was flashback footage you would see in some, cheesy
well, they were
TV show.
They were trying to teach the fact that elephants, they believe, do actually have really good memories, and that they have very good sense of past elephants they have met and everything like that. But there is a non-dramatic way to have expressed that, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally.
Apparently, there's that, right?
And those were my gripes with it. The writing, the dialogue on that, it was kind of we don't need that. And I don't remember. It'd be interesting to go back and maybe watch some of those older ones to see if they
still have the same thing, or if it's gotten worse,
or if I don't remember it, right? Because at the time we had a younger kid, so it was nicer to have.
That is true, because he wouldn't have watched stuff like the National Geographic stuff. He wouldn't have been engaged, so we're more forgiving then. So.
Yeah, exactly.
But overall, it was good, but it was definitely a bit shocking.
Yeah, the cinematography alone on the elephants was really interesting to see. So they're good to watch when you need some nature, especially when you're trapped indoors.
There you go, right?
So the main event is Trolls.
Well, yeah, because this week was the home premiere of Trolls World Tour. World Tour! So we figured, of course, we had to watch the original Trolls.
Yep.
And in preparation for it, the original Trolls was when we first saw it was a surprise. Holy moly! I can't believe how awesome this movie actually was.
Vastly inappropriate. I think we said that before on the podcast.
Yes.
The jokes in that movie. There are so many adult jokes that are going to go over every child's head. Yeah. And you look at some of the stuff that happens in that movie, and you're just like, oh snap. Mr. Tinkles.
So we decided to watch the our Blu-ray with the party mode on.
Yes.
Because I figured, why not? We've seen this movie so many times. Let's just do the weirdness.
Yeah.
So it has a sing-along.
Yeah, every song, the lyrics show up and it's highlighted as karaoke mode.
Yeah. So we have all that, and like some of the catchphrases would show up on the screen. Yeah. There was also a hug timer on there as well. Yeah. And then
3, 2, 1, hug.
And then there would be little colors that would show up on the screen to match different scenes, and you would hit the different applicable colored button on your remote, and different characters would show up on screen, or different fun additions, right? Yeah. And some of them were really obnoxious, and some of them were really
the high
fun.
five took over the entirety of the screen and like was super loud.
Yeah.
And then there was Cooper when he'd shoot out cupcakes from his butt and then pop out and go sorry.
And there was just so many. It was too slow, right?
Yeah. But the two that were good were,
my favorite was the glitter shooting up from the
cannons,
bottom. Yeah. Glitter cannons, and then your favorite was
Mr. Dinkle showed up and went, oh snap. I could have just had those two buttons
that was it.
freely through the movie, and I would have had a blast. I would have been like, yeah, glitter in your face. And you know what reference that is to.
So, yeah, those ones. And I'm off topic.
Oh, snap.
See, look what this movie does. It's a full kids movie, and look where... right in the gutter.
But like the song in the first one, you got the jokes that the kids can laugh at, and you get the jokes that the adults can get because they can't believe that they're actually doing that in a kids movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like, especially like the pick the right hole.
Right? Oh, goodness.
And there's just some things like that in it that you can laugh at. But the music was so good in this movie. The placement, right? And
it really blended really well.
It blended, yeah. You know, especially like even like just all of a sudden the sound of the silence shows up, right? Like
that is my favorite scene.
Hello.
Because I mean, I love that song anyway, and it was just so well used.
Yeah.
And the scene with it being all dark with the bright pops of color was just so funny.
I think that mesmerizes me the most about the Trolls movie is the fact that it has so much style to it. The fact that it, like everything looks like it's felt or cotton candy or like it's fuzzy.
It's like a giant craft project.
Yeah,
right?
and it's that was a thing that really got me with the first one, right? Yeah. Was how much everything just it didn't feel real. It still just felt.
It felt like a little like a kid in a diorama would have been playing with trolls and would have made this imaginative world, and everything had such awesome textures to it and bright colors and.
Like that's what really got me was those, and that's why I think I really helped enjoy it because it had style to it, right? Yeah. That was different than what we've seen in other movies.
Yeah,
having that real kind of the message in the movie: don't eat your feelings.
Well,
right?
Well, to me, it wasn't that. To me, it was more of, the happiness doesn't, well, I guess there is don't eat your feelings, but if you think of it not as food, but the concept that someone else is responsible for your own happiness, and that if you constantly say, if I don't have this thing, I won't be happy. Yeah. So it's a little less materialistic, I guess.
Yeah.
But the concept that if you don't have that one thing, whatever it could be, then you won't ever be happy.
Yeah.
And so I like that it's, the happiness can come from just being around people that you enjoy and that relationship and that companionship. So, and then quite literally, of course, then don't eat your feelings. So,
don't eat to become happy.
Yeah. Right? So there's that. But I look at it more as the, more of the experience of things and not the consuming of anything. Right. So, so it's a simple message, but I think that wasn't the star of the show.
No.
So.
But I think Trolls is a great film. Yeah. All in all, I like the first one. So they've started, for some movies, doing a world premiere on video on demand. Yeah. So you can get through cable or PlayStation and things like that, right? So they brought Trolls, instead of taking it to theaters, it went right to video on demand. It was $19.99.
Yeah,
which is a pretty good price.
Yeah, for not bad, because it's still cheaper than if we had all three gone to the movie
over
theater.
30 so if we gone to the theater.
And then we were able to watch it, which was great. So we turned that on and got to revisit the world of Trolls, and we learned from them that there's this whole backstory, and their trolls are pop trolls, and which made sense for the music and everything they would have. And there are all these other different groups of trolls and all these different looks to them in this world, and they're all different music genres.
Yeah, so you have country, classical, rock.
Hard rock.
80s rock.
Let's be honest.
That's 80s glam rock.
Yeah. Maybe it's just Ozzy Osbourne rock.
No, there was other ones. It was 80s glam rock.
No, I know, but it was just like, so it was like death metal, like pre-death metal rock type thing. It was a very specific genre of rock.
And then it was funk.
Yeah.
And then techno.
Techno, yeah.
So they broke those ones down. They all had different looks. Like techno, they were under the sea.
Yeah, they were like mermaid trolls. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
And so how that one started, actually goes right off the bat.
That just started immediately with inappropriateness.
Like the little button that the techno guy had to push was... Wow. I was like, if this is how the whole movie's going to be, we're in for a good time. Because, damn, I can't believe that they just... Because that was almost like a finishing move.
It was like, totally. Yeah, it was.
You're just waiting for that.
There was a few moments where like, oh my God, I feel kind of dirty like listening to this right now.
Yeah, and the faces it made when he pushed that button.
Oh yeah. Should I push the button now?
You push it, baby.
Oh, so close.
Like, wow. So
that started out well.
Yeah. So the whole idea is that when they find out that there's other trolls, it basically became Infinity War.
Yeah, we got to gather the strings to unite the world.
Yeah, every troll kingdom has a string that's a certain color based on it, and if you collect them all, then you can rule music.
Yeah, so the heavy rock queen was decided she needed to collect all of them and unite the world all under rock and basically make everyone the exact same. Yeah, it wasn't caring about them. She just wanted to convert them all to rock and that was it. And, some of the voices for some of them, like Ozzy Osbourne played the old rock and roll king, which was hilarious. And George Clinton was the king of the funk, which, again, was amazing. Mary J. Blige was the queen. Yeah. And
Kelly Clarkson was the country.
And so then you had these also, like... they showed like subgenres in there of some different types of music, and
there was a K-pop gang,
and
then the reggaetonic,
reggaetonic, and
then the yodelers,
reggaeton, that's what it is, and then the yodelers, which you know what? Until now, I didn't assume that it was a genre of music. I thought it was more of a style of singing, but apparently they're treating it as a genre of music,
right? But they were all like hired bounty hunter assassins.
Which is great. Like the yodelers were terrifying. And so Queen Barb's trying to take over, and of course Poppy believes that everyone could never have something, negative or would ever consider wanting to, take something away from someone. So she you see the story of her and Branch having a relationship and Poppy trying to be a queen and her dealing with her own issues of trying to make everyone happy and also be realistic about the world in some aspects. And then you also learn more about the history of these music strings and the world of trolls in general. So it was an interesting story. I mean, there was a lot going on though. Yeah. And that's the only thing.
It kind of like you had the introduction of all like the kingdoms, which makes sense with all the extra things. Mm-hmm. Then there was like the addition of like a few extra troll characters that weren't from the first that didn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. That what I didn't think was needed, like Tiny Diamond.
Yeah, it was a completely wasted.
Like it was just everything. It was a weird, and it also was strange because all of a sudden during a musical number, Guy Diamond suddenly shoots out an egg, and Tiny Diamond shows up.
Yeah,
like that raises some questions about the trolls in general and their reproduction.
Apparently, they're asexual and they just shoot little baby trolls out of their heads. I don't know.
Did it come out of his head?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it came out of his...
No, he shot out of his head, having a baby, and it shot out of his head.
Okay.
Out of his hair.
I must have looked down at that point because...
Yeah, but still, he shot out that.
It came out.
No.
Because he used to shoot glitter out of his butt, so I wasn't sure if the egg came out of his...
Well, maybe I just wanted to see that it came out of his hair. I don't know.
And then there was a weird one that had like the legs that she could grow.
Yeah.
And that one didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
There was also a sub-story that I didn't really connect as much that should have been expanded a little bit more. Cooper, the one that didn't look all normal with the long legs and long neck, that looked like a giraffe. Mm-hmm. he never seemed like downtrodden, that he wanted to find trolls that look like him. But then like suddenly when they found out there was more kingdoms, he was like, there's trolls like me out there. And he took off on his own journey, right?
Yeah, like why was that never ever considered before?
Yeah, so I kind of wish those side characters that they added hadn't been there maybe, and they focused a little bit more on him feeling downtrodden about like not being like everyone else.
Yeah.
Like given an inkling of why he would have suddenly just ran off to find that there's a silhouette picture of something that could be like him, that he's going to go off on the...
That is true. Well, so for this, there was a lot more going on and a lot more busy. But I liked the theme and the story in this better than the first one, because I think it was a little bit deeper, honestly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the message really in the movie was the standout for sure, of that we're all different and we all need to accept our differences. Yeah. And realize that what is different about us makes us all great, especially when we can all work together with those differences, but also saying that just because we're different, we don't have to like each other.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Like,
and that's what I think I like, is I don't like a message that there's a line of we're all the same concept. We're all same, save for that. They were all trolls. They were all beings. They all enjoyed music. But that doesn't mean that we all have to enjoy the exact same things. We don't all have to act the exact same. We should accept each other for the same and the different. Yeah. And be appreciative of the beauty that is in differences as well. Yeah. And that there's nothing wrong with it.
And that's what the funky trolls taught us.
Right. And I think that is a better message than just we're all the same. Yeah. Because that's too, quite honestly, say if we apply it to human beings, for say a child to understand that, if we say we're actually all the same, it's hard to comprehend that because we don't all look the same. We don't act the same. So how can you actually say we're all the same? Yeah. You could say we all can experience similar emotions. We have similar experiences for things. We have similar functions in our body. Yes. But there's so much differences, and you should be more appreciative of saying we should celebrate and accept the differences. And I think that makes more sense. I think that's a better message to learn in the long run anyway. So yeah, no, the message was definitely the standout. I still think the first one was funnier. Yeah. And the music in the first one flowed better with the storyline. Yeah. This one had quite a bit of ups and downs, especially when they tried to cram they had a whole like montage of 5 songs put together. It was very jarring. Yeah. And the first one just felt like they planned their songs better. This one, sometimes the songs started jarringly too. Like it was just like they wasn't really the same kind of. Well, you could tell a little bit more that there was almost trying to put too much in one thing. Yeah. Like if it had been a little bit longer, maybe it could have helped where you could have had it flow a little bit with the different genres, right? Yeah. So that was kind of that moment of like, maybe they could have taken like stuff like the Guy Diamond baby and the Tiny Diamond out and make more room for the overall story rather than the weird subplot areas that were unnecessary, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I'll be excited to watch it again and just for a different lens and being able to see if you could find any of those side stories for anything, right? So yeah, there were questions though that I was confused about. Why Branch didn't have his color back? Yeah, he was all dark again. Yeah, because he was all bright and shiny and bright blue at the end of the first Trolls. We have decided that we think it's because he was having relationship conflict and heartache. Yeah, but he never got shiny at the end. You're right. No. So I don't know, like that was. Or they all like forgot what color he was at the end of the movie, and they're like, "Oh crap, we totally colored him wrong." And then we have to wonder about why Mr. Dinkles constantly wants to kill himself. Okay, so one of my favorite parts of this movie, Mr. Dinkles, he dies, and then he looks up at the sky and he goes floating up there, and a God Dinkle shows up. And I seriously swear to God, it looked just like the Monty Python. Oh, it had that, yeah. And that just made Welcome home, my son. And it's voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson. It was the greatest thing ever. I was like, I just looked over at Mike. My mouth would just jaw drop like, oh my gosh, Monty Python has just entered the world of trolls. Yeah. And this is the best thing ever. Yeah. And then Mike's sitting there going like, oh my God, Mr. Dinkles just died. Like, what the hell just happened? And he was so happy about it. And he was so happy. Yeah. And then when he gets back, he gets sucked back and he looks so angry and sad. So that's just a weird character to begin with. Like, yeah, there's a lot of questions with that one. Because then the big troll guy
grabs him not long after that and pulls on his hat, which is suddenly connected to his head.
Yes.
And uses him as like a jet-propelled surfboard to leave.
Well, maybe that's why he felt bad. He was like relieved to die because he wasn't going to be used and abused anymore. He's like, he's like a loved tool.
Well, it's just like he keeps hopping into that casket too. He jumped into a casket in the cowboy land, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so watch that, and you tell us if your thoughts on Mr. Dinkles and his weirdness that he's the character.
Yeah, Oh, there was a weird tagger moment too that showed up, like a real tagger.
Well, because the smooth jazz apparently is like acid.
yes. Oh, that's where it came from.
Yes,
smooth jazz.
Smooth jazz is a drug for your mind.
That was that was one of those scenes that was just
it's like what they started
like they turned into sushi and tried to feed each other.
Yeah, and like a tiger and a real human leg showed up, and then they were like on a beach, and then they were eating troll like sushi and smooth jazz melts your mind, man. It melts your mind.
There was look on Spotify for Yodel Beat on the soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack. So it's the same guy that had done Black Panther soundtrack.
Yeah.
And we really like that. The beats from that movie are really great. So we looked it up, and Yodel cool. Beat, fantastic song.
It's probably the best song on the soundtrack that's available.
Like we were listening to it then for a good 10-15 minutes after the movie.
On repeat. We just couldn't stop, and it was just super mesmerizing. Yeah, it was more mesmerizing than smooth jazz.
It was oddly satisfying.
So if you need a laugh, and there's some weird stuff in there that sometimes the best, especially if you got a family.
Yes.
To be able to laugh at while your kids are laughing at the colors and the ridiculousness, you can laugh at the weirdness that they don't understand.
Yeah.
So definitely worth a while checking out Trolls World Tour and see where that goes, because
it's awesome.
So what time is it, Katie?
It's RADnesia?
Why is there a question?
What time is it, Mike?
RADnesia! Katie Choice Edition.
See, mine's a question. Yours goes on forever. So, you know what?
Because RADnesia should go on forever because of all the movies we've watched over the time.
I actually got to choose a couple movies. So they were actual
forced choices.
Full RADnesia for me, not like kind of. I kind of remember that movie. So first off was The Matrix.
That's right, The Matrix.
I've been wanting to watch this one for a while. Honestly, ever since we watched Bill and Ted's Adventures last spring break.
Well, and Theo over and seeing Dragon Ball has been like, when are you guys going to watch the Dragon Ball?
The Dragon Ball?
When are you going to watch? He's asking me that. So, when are you going to watch The Matrix?
This one here, I remembered it, and I remember really enjoying it, but I hadn't seen it for so long that I didn't remember all the little details, so I was excited to be able to watch that one again.
Yeah, so when it came out in 1999, it blew the doors off of cinema because it was so new and exciting and different, and it was bringing like the kung fu cinema to America with science fiction over time. It was basically like an anime come to life.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's ripe with its conspiracy theory feeling of the world not being real and being plugged into a game, and just all sorts of science fiction where you can't really prove that yes and no unless you're out of the Matrix feel, and it's just like it's super fun to run with that, right? Yep. And then it ties into the AI gone wrong. Yep. That Deja we vu. Seem to love and
all those themes. Right? So it was big because it was such a different style of filming, with the slow motion and the moving of the camera and the action and the darkness that it was in it. Yeah. Right. That kind of conspiracy. So starring Keanu Reeves and
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yep.
And he was so young. So we've last seen him. It's been a very, you realize how long ago that movie really was. Same with Keanu Reeves.
Carrie-Anne Moss.
And I remember the fashion, how in like
black leather, shiny vinyl looking stuff. Like it was such a like Marilyn Manson feel. Like when I was in 8th grade, 7th grade when it came out. So it was like super all like edgy and intense. Edgelords.
So, but I still really enjoyed it. I mean, for the most part, it did a good job of standing up time-wise. Except for there was a few effects where it suddenly dated it. Yep. The explosions for things. Some of the shots were in the action was really, really good.
The explosion at the end with Agent Smith where Neo takes him over.
Yes, and so that one
broke out in like glass, like green glass.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I can totally see it. That's
whoa, it's the 90s.
So Agent Smith was always freaky to me, especially because he's just
Anderson.
Yeah, like that was like haunting, like, right? And they did such a good job of making him in control and creepy, and it made it worse that the agents in general could just take over things. Like they were definitely a force to be reckoned with, right? And they were right to be scared of them.
Virus.
Yeah, and you know, and when you look at that, it was kind of ironic because I've seen so much of that same kind of feel now with, unfortunately, the pandemic that's going on and how much we take over things. And I was like,
so wait, the Matrix is trying to purge us now? Is that what you're saying?
Is trying to
now
purge
we've gone into crazy quarantine theory.
I know, right? Why not?
Well, they're stopping me from walking at the river, so.
Right? And I remember
Sorry, Instagram, my photos are going to suck for a while.
We have nature around here. He's just refusing because there's not running water by it. Running water implies
it's
nature.
It's a bush.
Poke to the bush by the river.
Because that still looks like nature.
Oh, that's so fun. I'm going to run the bathtub and put a little... be like, here's your damn water.
If you can find little trees to put in there, then we'll talk. Don't tempt me to bring mud into this house to create my own diorama in the tub.
Okay, my point is taken back. There is no nature in the house.
Anyways,
Matrix. But yeah, so I thought it was a different, I don't know. I really enjoyed the edginess that it still had. It definitely made me have that full RADnesia feel of like bringing me back to when I was younger thing, which was kind of fun because it's not a movie that there's so many of my movies that I've seen so many times that I could just, I can play it in my head completely. And this was fun where I remember it enough, but not to the point where I knew everything that was going to happen. When they first showed the bad guy on screen, I'm looking, I was like, he seems greasy. Red flags going up. Something's wrong. I think he's the bad guy. And then things started happening. I was like, yes, he is the bad guy. Oh, how could you? And I was just so distraught. So, yeah. I forgot how many people died in the movie.
Yeah, right.
Like, it literally gets down to the end. There's four of them. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this is so sad and horrible.
Apocalypse World. So. One thing that I noticed, it felt slower than I remember.
Yeah.
Like I had my moment where I was like in my head, I'm like, yeah,
super action
all the time. And then I was like, whoa, there's a lot of talking. When's the next action scene?
John Wick has ruined that for us. Because we see Keanu now just doing that.
Constant action.
And so now it's like, oh my god, the Matrix is
so that was for me, for my RADnesia of like not remembering a lot of like
the drama,
the in-betweens.
Yeah.
Of like I just remember like those key scenes, where
everyone remembers the learning how to jump thing. Right? Yeah. And that and then the training sequences, and that's it.
And then like the whole end sequence of where they go to save Morpheus and all that, and like how amazing that is, and the final fight scene.
Yeah, and you were like, wow, that was the end already.
And you're just like So there was those moments where I was just like, whoa, like this is slow. And that's what dates it almost.
Yes.
Because it was from a different time.
It shows then we require more fast pacing going on now.
Right? Like
we aren't
that's
okay
interesting.
With
our attention spans are dropping to where like why is it going?
It's interesting then like why then if cinema just keeps pushing that on us then
But movies are getting longer.
Yeah.
Right? But they're keeping the action ramped.
It's strange.
So and you see that and you see how a lot of people have those feelings of wanting the movies from old, right? The idea where they want the slower movies. So I'm curious if it will back with the next generations of filmmakers, if they'll kind of go back to a slower, because a lot of the stuff that gets more of the critical acclaim and stuff are more of the independent movies that are slower burns.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so not so much of the popcorn fluff and everything like that. Right. Yeah.
So,
well, maybe the superhero genre has really changed changed with that too, right?
And those movies should be balls to the walls, just action, because that's what a comic book is. That's what a comic book should be. Those are the ones I enjoy.
Especially the Marvel style, those types of ones. They're not trying to really talk a message or something, some deep meaning, really. So it's interesting to see how that changes.
But I would like to actually watch the other two Matrix. I
was going to say, on principle, I would like to watch them.
We don't own them, so I gotta see which service they're available if they are.
Because I don't remember them well enough by any means.
I don't. I remember it's good. It's the same kind of feeling. I remember some of the key action moments, but I sit back and I wonder if it'll be as disappointing as it was when I was a youth, but now being older.
It's not the shock of finding out about this Matrix, right?
Yeah.
And finding out all the weird stuff that they can do in it. So it's so much of their actual real world as well. And so it doesn't have those...
And the bigger picture of everything, right? So that's what I'm really curious to see. So hopefully we can find that and watch that.
But I remember also this still made me really feel satisfied when Neo realized his full potential with, all by himself, not being able to told. I love the prophetic aspect of that. Where, you can't be told that you're the one. You have to find it in yourself and believe it yourself. And that's the only way. And to achieve that. And I love that because when you think back at it, I knew that he was the one so I was kind of curious to watch that scene again. And she never actually says, no, you're not.
Yeah.
It's more of you didn't answer that. You need to just know it. It's again, that reminder that any oracle, any sort of prophecy, if you read it in that type of context, they're always cryptic.
Yeah.
They're never.
They read how you want to read it. You want to feel hope from it.
Yeah, you put your own feelings into it, and it's the context of how you assume that it reads in either a fear or a hope version, right?
Yeah.
And for him, it was easier to say that he wasn't the one.
Yeah.
Because that was too much writing on it for him,
it was
right?
too much work.
Yeah, I mean, to him, it's overwhelming, and I don't blame him, right? And but I remember feeling so excited and so satisfied when he realized that, and when everything turns into him reading the Matrix and everything, I was like, oh, this is so awesome. And so that was fun, still feeling that excitement, right? So next up, I wanted to watch, we just refer to it as PPZ, Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. So this movie, I've never seen Pride and Prejudice. I mean, I've never seen it, but I've never read it either. I really don't know anything about the story. So when this came out in theaters, though, I was like, you wanted to see it because there's zombies, and we liked the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and we thought, this looks weird and strange, so we should go and see it. And I was really surprised how much I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid film for what it is.
So I was excited to be able to watch it again. I realized I hadn't seen it for a while, and it's a weird blend of action and romance and horror, right? So I still really like, to me, that's my sort of female empowerment movie feel. They were strong, and
they didn't need no man to take no zombies down for them. They could take care of themselves.
Right. And I like that. It was super fun, the concept, because I can't imagine being that honed in and intense on a skill like that, right? Yeah. And I love their outfits by default, their culture, are still so feminine, right?
Yeah.
And I love that blend. I love
the old
their outfits,
Victorian era cloaks and dresses and all that, and garter belts filled with knives.
Yeah, that was super awesome. And I'm still really I would like an outfit like that. Why? I want to wear that. Well, because I was all excited when Hot Topic, because I love the Hot Topic fashion. I have a PPZ dress that is it's a very Victorian style. It has the lace up on the back, and it's got lace, and it's got a little bit more of a fluffy skirt, and it has Pride and Prejudice and Zombies wallpaper looking to it.
The print is old schooly wallpaper.
Yeah.
But then you need to look close enough
and then all of a sudden you realize that there's zombies crawling out of the gravestones and everything. And I love that it's a hidden creepiness on it, right? But I still really enjoyed it. I liked the action. I was all excited because Matt Smith was in it. And then I decided that it was super fun to watch it as if it was the Doctor.
The Doctor was actually there.
And it was the Doctor just enjoying this adventure together, because he would have done it.
Put his consciousness into the watch or something like that.
Right? And he's stuck in this world with the zombie apocalypse. And I thought that was hilarious because the way he acted, you could totally have seen the Doctor doing all that. Yeah. What about you?
You know, it's still my biggest thing is, you know, that movie could have gone one of two ways. It could have become another Underworld where it was like super flashy and you know, but they really kept to the theme that it was Victorian era, you know, England, and
it still felt like that era.
It still felt like that era. My biggest complaint, it was still a complaint I had about it, was that they made it PG-13.
Yeah.
I think they should have gone more R, not for more gore or anything, but just to have been able to lighten the reins a little bit, because there's a few scenes where they like smudge the camera to kind of like take it out, and the camera pans away from some of the violence, and it gets rid of some of the scares.
Well, they could have had like more jump scares. I mean,
or it's just something like the little bit more of the horror substance.
Well, the creepiest scene I think was with the baby and the zombie and the mom and everything like that, and that was so shocking at first, but then it just stopped.
Yeah,
right.
So they because of them having to be stuck on the PG-13, I think it really lost what its true potential is.
Yeah,
I don't think it needed to really change too much, but just it would have probably opened up a little bit to have added. And I think it's just an interesting story that the zombies themselves also, they don't turn until they eat a human brain.
Yeah.
They still live a life and they're all like dead and decaying, but until they eat a human brain, they don't turn all feral.
Well, and it was sad to see that, you know, they could have tried like Whitby, or now I can't remember his name. You know, he had a good idea, the concept of trying to work with them and not trying to shun them, and seeing if there is a way that they don't all have to be feared. And then, you know, Darcy ended up actually ruining that whole group of them. Yeah. Just almost more out of spite and out of point, right? And I was like, I really kind of hate you for that. Yeah. Kind of a dick move there. Yeah. You know, he was not my favorite by any means. It was hard to want to be like, you understood where he came from, and you wanted to root for the love story aspect, but at the same time you're like kind of a douche. And it was hard to find the two sides of that.
But then in reality too, when you find out about Whitby though, he was such a con artist, right?
And so then you're like, well, you're horrible.
Darcy's family, you know, all those things for all those years.
So then you don't feel, then you understand why he hates him so much. He has every right to be, right? And then like it was a turning point when he sends that letter, and you realize, okay, well, he just has a really hard time expressing himself. Yeah. And I can understand that, you know.
Goes through trauma.
You know, I have a hard time expressing something verbally, but if I have a chance to write it down, I can do much better. So I can understand it's almost an anxiety, right? So it had it, and that was more of the Pride and Prejudice feel, of course, that complex story of everything, right? And I liked how that kind of laid itself out, right? So.
But I still enjoyed it. The other thing was the ending. I always thought the ending was weird. Like they play the credits for the moment, and then they then go to a scene with them all married and leaving, and then all of a sudden the zombie apocalypse is charging them. Right. And then it just like does a flash zoom and ends.
And I'm like, okay.
So I don't know if they were hoping to have made more. Yeah. Because
it's like they wanted the nice happy ending, and then it was like, no, wait, the world is still on fire. Yeah, like remember this guy? Now there's all hope is lost.
Yeah, so like you need more out of it. Like,
and one thing you point out too, I like the symbolism aspect. Is everyone is in very dark colors, except for now I can't remember his name. Whitby. He's very bright. Yeah, he stands out as being very different than the rest of them. He's wearing the bright red, and it's something you don't really realize.
You see that with some of the other soldiers, but his was a lot more in tune with being brighter.
Yeah, so
he stands out.
But it was still super intense, even though I knew how it ended and that everyone was okay. It was still like, oh my gosh, like they need to get back to the bridge. It's going to blow up, and like, oh gosh, it's just the super on edge, right? And so I still like that they had that. But yeah, I watch these types of things, and my girliness goes out, and I'm like, I want all the outfits. I want a dress. Like I'm someone who should be able to learn how to sew, because I want all this fashion, and
you can't buy it, right? You need to have all that, the closet. You need to become a cosplayer.
Like her blue outfit with the swishiness and everything. Yeah, I want that. Like, why can't we wear stuff like that now?
Wishy coats. It's definitely a good like beginner horror film too, right? Like it's kind of like you're kind of curious about horror movies, but you don't really want to.
Because there's not, and what's nice too is there's no like sex or anything inappropriate like that. Violence. It's just the violence for anything, and then just more of that story, right? And I kind of like that because sometimes they're married so much, and
it's pretty tame except for some of the violence.
Yeah,
but yeah, so PPZ, Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies.
It was still fun. I still enjoyed it for what it was. And it wasn't like, oh my goodness. It made me want to wear my dress again, so that's always a bonus.
Made me want to wear frilly things.
Frilly things.
And knives on my legs.
And wear my knives on my legs. And use swords. Yes. See, if I ever learned how to do this, then there's a reason. It's not good. I go like all like crazy, like woman power. If the zombie apocalypse, I need to learn.
Okay, we're talking about zombie, not just in general.
Not
You're
just
gonna get knives and swords and come after me, like.
No.
That's
I
kind
want
of
to train
terrifying.
for that, right? You know, it's super intense.
Okay, then
want to learn how to fence or something? I don't know, like. I like that concept.
You know, the term fence always is
sword fighting sounds better.
You know, like I think of fencing, and I just want to like, why are you trying to put a fence up around your house? But,
right, I've never understood that concept too. If anyone knows why it's called, you know,
I probably could look it up pretty easily.
We could, but I don't know. Does anyone else find the word funny?
Well, you get into this, you just start thinking about words, and words are weird, and words are funny, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, the elephant thing, I was like, animals are, elephants are weird. You're like, all animals are weird. Well, okay, fair enough.
Right? We're just used to the ones in our area, like, but there's probably a lot of people that are in Africa, like, yeah, it's an elephant, get over it,
right?
And then they see a raccoon, and they're like, whoa, what is that?
Right?
Like,
but in all reality, even human beings, we're weird beings. Like,
yeah,
you can go to like existential on it, and living creatures are weird. And on that note, I think we've come to the end.
So that's been another episode of Cup of Rad. Hopefully we filled your cup with some radness with our RADnesia watches and whatnot. Going forward, it's still just going to be whatever we find.
If you have any suggestions or anything, let us know.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Lots of streaming services. We also, of course, have lots of our own movies and everything. If you want to hear a take on something, let us know.
Yeah, so because, there's no end in sight. So...
It's going on forever.
That's why we had to when Trolls came out. I was like, I want something new. I need my fix.
Right? Something.
So, and then being with family, we're watching a lot more family stuff, family-friendly things, because you got to keep them entertained too, right? So, but I kind of want to like delve into like Lord of the Rings. I've suggested a couple times, and Kiddo gave me the look of like, why?
So what we're going to do is we just wake up in the morning and be like, dude, time to get up. We're going on a quest. It's Lord of the Ring time. And if you don't want to join us, then he'll show up. Don't worry.
Fair enough. That's an idea. That's an idea. I thought that would have been a perfect Easter.
Only if we can also have second breakfast.
Okay, well, you better order some of that rascal and more bacon.
Nice.
So,
okay.
Because that would be the perfect
so we'll figure out
breakfast.
Lord of the Rings coming up here at some point. So, There you go.
All right, everybody, stay rad.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening. Want more rad content? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review.
And remember, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes!